What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode 61 of our Road to Glory career mode. Today's the day we get to splash the cash that we've got in the team. Really excited to bring you this episode. A lot of transfers going to happen and also a lot of people leaving the club as well. But something to note, right at the start of the episode, if you watched the previous one, you'll know we negotiated a deal for around about £65 million with Real Sociedad for Barso Villa. Well, that deal has sadly fallen through. He will not be leaving the club as of yet. That deal for £65 million no longer stands with Real Sociedad. But one outgoing that did happen was actually Alex Pritchard. He joins Bournemouth. I can't exactly remember for the life of me what the exact fee was. All I know is that the deal has gone through and he has left the club. So the first transfer that I looked at bringing in was Trent Alexander-Arnold. We spoke before about the fact of needing new fullbacks at the club. We definitely needed at least a solid right back, world-class one, potentially a backup left back, and then maybe another backup right back as well. So I went into West Ham, negotiated a deal for Trent Alexander-Arnold. He had a great World Cup with us in our World Cup win with England. If you haven't seen it, spoilers alert, apologies for that. But if you haven't seen it and you're watching this video, then I question it. But still, he had a great World Cup run with us when we were the England boss, and so he impressed me enough for me to go out and make the purchase of Trent Alexander-Arnold. So he joins as the first new signing of this window, £26.6 million plus Dominic Iorfa as part of that deal, making the overall fee at around about £31 million. A humongous transfer fee, and it's the most I think we've spent so far in the series on a single player. But next up was a left back. I looked at a long list of left backs and decided eventually on Jordan Lukaku, the Atletico Madrid 27-year-old, 83 rated fullback. Caught my eye, a 4-star weak foot. He's going to be a good, I'd say, backup, but at the time I actually had to offer him crucial to get this deal over the line. So we negotiated the transfer fee originally with Atletico Madrid. I think it was around about £22 million for them to part ways with their Belgian fullback. And in the end, with the contract offer going through, he became our second transfer of this window. That's a hell of a lot of money already spent. Only on 2 players, but we managed to spend £8 million worth of money plus Dominic Iorfa leaving the club. 2 very good deals, and I'm very happy with both of those guys though. But let me say this. That is not where we end the transfer window off today, guys. There's still so much to go through. So, the 2 major transfers that's happened thus far, Lukaku and Trent Alexander-Arnold, both joining the club. They both started for the pre-season tour. In terms of our left back, I'm not sure who's a stronger one, whether or not I'm going to start Jose Gaya or whether or not I'm going to keep going with Jordan Lukaku. All I know is that both of them have a similar overall. They're both capable of making big things happen in the game. And the reason I brought in Lukaku over maybe somebody else at left back role, because I was looking at potentially maybe Charlie Taylor, who was 79 rated, would have cost cheaper obviously and would have definitely been the backup to Gaya, was because of that 4-star weak foot. I thought to myself, worst case scenario, I just don't bring in another backup right back and Lukaku can fit the role on either side. So we play him left back some games, moving to right back if we need a backup for Trent Alexander-Arnold for any reason. So in the end, I think we did the right business, bringing in Alexander-Arnold, then bringing in as well Jordan Lukaku. Make the most sense to me. I felt like those 2 transfers were the ones that we had to go with. And I just kind of look at that and think that we've done good business. That was my first thought. So the next thing I went ahead and did was took a look at the free agents. If you guys are playing career mode and you aren't doing this on your series, thoroughly recommend it. Every time you start a new season, check the free agents list because there might be some world beaters that are in there and you can pick them up for literally their only wage and they end up being worth £6, £7, £8 million in some cases, and you can sell them on a year later to make that money into the club. So I signed 3 in the end. I signed a new goalkeeper, a centre-back, and a centre midfielder. So as you can see, I'm doing the offers for each of these guys here. The first one was that goalkeeper, second one being the midfielder, and then the third one being the defender. And if we take a look at them, one is a 68 rated centre-back, not too bad actually. He's 6'2" with a 5-star weak foot. Sensational. Training him up, he'll become a nice addition to the team. Could potentially be a squad rotation player as well in the future. Then we have this man, the best by far, Rodriguez, a Mexican 21-year-old 5-star weak foot centre midfielder / CDM, standing at 5'11" tall. What a find that could be. The 5-star weak foot, it looks so damn nice on that guy, especially with the 75 rated already in the team. A little bit of training can pretty much be used in our side. And the final one was a 60, I think it was 8 or 9 rated goalkeeper. The reason I signed another one was because it looks like Olenare will be leaving the club. He wants more game time and I simply can't afford to give him that, because if we don't start Green, he's going to go in a huff, even though admittedly I would say Green hasn't really played very well as of late. seems to be pretty useless. But yeah, that's the way it went. So I kind of thought I needed to bring in, another goalkeeper. I didn't fancy spending money on one, so I chose to go the free agent route instead. And it's not like Green's going to be out injured, because we spent a long period of time where he hasn't picked up an injury. He pretty much played every single game last season for us, so I don't see why he can't do that in the future. That was my thought process on that one as well. So moving into the next bit, we had an offer for Igor Zivkovic, our final right back at the club that is not Trent Alexander-Arnold, because with the offer already leaving, the next one to go would be Zivkovic. We eventually negotiated a deal with Derby County for around about 8.5 million to take him off our hands. He will eventually leave the club as well. You'll see that in a couple of moments' time. And we continued on in the pre-season tour. We didn't actually have a lot of money from this. The most we could have won was around about £9 million, but it was still not too bad. So there is confirmation. Zivkovic has left the club. We get some scout reports back. That was, of course, Charlie Taylor that I was potentially looking at. But in the end, I went for Lukaku. This guy is Ronaldo's regen. 80 rated at 19 years of age. I wanted to try and sign him, but unfortunately, he'd only just joined Levante, so he couldn't actually leave the club again. So I'm going to try to keep him in there, but the truth is, by the time it gets to next season, I could probably make an offer for him. He's going to be about 84, 85 rated, and he's probably going to be in somewhere in the region of about 45 to maybe 60 million pounds. So chances are, Ronaldo's regen just won't be joining the club, most likely. So as frustrating as that is the way it goes sometimes. But we've had a lot of deals go through, had a lot of deals leave the club as well, before we moved into this first game of the season here. It's the Community Shield against Manchester United, one of my bogey teams, I guess you could say, in career mode. And at this point, I was not caring whatsoever how this game would finish. I started Trent Alexander-Arnold on the right, Lukaku on the left, so a kind of competitive debut in many ways for one of these guys here as well, or both of these guys. And we actually ended up conceding the first goal. It was a fantastic strike from Jurissi. And he's a pain in the backside, this guy. I really dislike facing him on career mode. Seems to always have a blinder of a game against me. Not quite sure what the reason is behind it. But if we had this shot happen maybe 6-7 times over, he's not going to score it again like that. So, frustratingly, we found ourselves a goal to 0 down. And things didn't get much better when Jordan Lukaku... That was just my frustration coming out more than anything. It wasn't like I intended to win the ball there. I lost it with about, I'd say, 30 minutes left. And in the end, just kind of lashed out and tried to get it back, but I was never going to win it, and I went in behind the man. It was Trippier, actually, I think, the man that I brought out. So, picked up a red card to Lukaku. Not ideal, but at least he won't be suspended for any major games. The likes of the Copa Europe, which is to come in a few moments as well. But we actually did find an equaliser. A matter of about 3 minutes later, it was Reece Nelson popping up in the centre of the pitch, and he fired us back into the game at 1-1. And I think this season, actually, guys, although I'm a massive fan, as you know, of Anwar El Ghazi, he was a instrumental part of my FIFA 17 series. I think this season my front three is most likely going to consist of Reece Nelson on the right, probably Calvert-Lewin on the left, and then obviously Don East up front. So El Ghazi will have to make an impact from the bench. But we found ourselves back down 2-1. Again, not so long after we just got back in the game. And this is where my frustration with Green comes in. Because although it was nicely worked from Man United, you can see again, the goalkeeping from Green is just atrocious. It isn't helped by the fact that, of course, I'm playing on the slider settings that I am, but I just feel like my keeper has no impact whatsoever. And for an 89 rated goalkeeper, he's simply not good enough. Which brings me to my question. Do we get rid of Green and try and bring in a different goalkeeper, somebody else that's possibly world class? Because we will get a nice transfer fee in for Green. That's my thought kind of thing. We could always offer him as part of a deal for another goalkeeper, one of the world's best goalkeepers potentially. But I just don't feel like he's even making much of an impact. And unfortunately, by the end of the game, we did end up losing by 2-1. We did, however, though, hit the post in the last minute with Calvert-Lewin. So if that had have gone in, could have got to penalties, might have won it on penalties, 10 men, but never mind. It's the way it goes, and we did actually lose the Community Shield. But as I said previously, not even bothered about that. Don't care. And then we went into the Copa Europe. This one, I am bothered about. This is, of course, the winner of the Champions League taking on the winner of the Europa League. So Napoli winning the Europa League because we were the Champions League champions. And this is where my first kind of competitive game where I kind of tried my hardest in. So inside the 30th minute, Reece Nelson did ever so well. Picked out his man at the back post, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, for him to tap home and give us the lead. And you know what? Given the aspect of the team, how it's going to look this season, how we actually are, I think if we do make maybe one more transfer, 2 more transfers happen, I'm pretty sure with the side that we've got, we can do everything. We only need to win the Carabao Cup. That's the only cup left that we haven't actually won as of yet. But I've got a sneaky feeling that if I play my cards right this season and do what I know I'm capable of, and obviously the team, we might even get a quadruple or something along those lines, maybe even a treble. The only couple of things that might stop us will be either squad depth or the fact that we don't have an out-and-out world-class player. You know what I'm saying? Like, you still look at teams and everybody's got like their world-class players that will carry them when needed. We don't exactly have our world-class player that's going to carry us out of a dangerous situation. So we might have to look at investing in one. But as we went up 2-0 in the game, a nicely worked goal again. This time Lukaku playing it on a plate for Donis. And we ended up winning it by 2-0. So we are Copa Europe champions. And it's nice to say that because it's the first trophy of the season available that we have managed to win as well. As I said, I was putting my eggs in this basket. I wasn't worried about the Community Shield. He's just had an off day and I just couldn't get going in the game against Man United. But it didn't matter because we did get going when it did matter against Napoli. So commiserations to them. But of course, it's nice for us to win and we'll watch Concert lift yet another trophy. But yeah, I mean, looking at the team, I'm happy with the way it is. I'm happy with the players we've got. I think if we make one more sale, if that Barso Villa deal had gone through, right, for 65 million, I think with that 65 million, we would have been able to get that one-star, you know, world-class player that we needed. But then it comes back to the fact of, do I let go of Green and then bring in somebody else that's going to be a world-class player, maybe only have like an 84 rated keeper in there? Because of right now, it's pretty irrelevant as having a 89 rated goalkeeper because he's not doing a lot in the actual game. So maybe a better idea to reinvest that elsewhere, if you know what I'm saying. But anyways, nice to win the trophy. There is Contra, of course, lifting it with the boys as well. And I'm sure in that starting 11 there might not be all of them staying at the club between now and the end of this window. We'll see who's going to stay and who may be leaving us here at Crew. I've got a few minds of players that I really want to keep and a few minds of players that if the deal is right, then I'll be happy to let them leave the club. I'm not going to name names yet. We'll see how it's going to fan out, but there will still be time left in this transfer window. Don't worry. Even though the episode is going to be obviously the transfer window based, you still have time to suggest any signings that you want to see us bring into this club. So if you've got any at all, leave it down in the comments below and I'll be happy to take a look at those. We then got the offer for Olenari. As I said, he wanted to leave. He did actually hand in a transfer request last season because he wasn't getting the game time. Initially, the offer that I got, I was feeling it was a bit too low, so I went into counter. And eventually, we did agree a deal of £8.6 million, which I was happy to accept. Just because, as I said, you know, we can't play him. Lazio are not in the Premier League, so it's not like it's going to come back to bite us. And overall, he doesn't want to be here, so I may as well let him go, get the funding in. And then, of course, if we do miraculously pick up an injury to Green somehow, I then have to worry about it. But I don't think that's going to be possible. So the Premier League kicked off. I decided to sim the first few games just to get through the window a little bit quicker because I still had so much that I wanted to do in this window, even with the minimum budget that I had. The first game came against Everton, who did very well last season, actually, with the team they had as well. And I was quite relieved to get a 0-0 draw from that game because overall, I was thinking that might have gone badly for us. But that is the confirmation of Olenari sold. And at that point, I had £29 million. So I went back in and I thought to myself, what can I do with this? And I found this young man. 20 years of age, Polish striker, playing for Bayern Munich. And it's actually not Lewandowski's regen because Lewandowski is still in the game. And we negotiated a £26 million fee for the 80-rated striker. If I pronounce it right, then great. If I pronounce it wrong, I'm sorry. But I think his name is Frachak. I could be wrong. I will just double check, obviously, before I continue on. I'll make sure I pronounce it right in the future episodes. But I'm going to go Frachak for now. And that is how I'm going to say it. We negotiated a £26 million deal plus £70,000 a week in the wage. Now, there's a slight issue with him, but there's also positives, as I'll show you the news that we've got him. Value for money is excellent, £26 million. It's not a lot of money when you consider the fact that he's 80 rated currently at the only age of 20. Has a tremendous potential to grow. Could get up to the high 90s potentially later on in the series. And for somebody who's going to be our new number 9, I felt that this deal was quite good, especially coming from a prestigious team like Bayern Munich. But then when I show you now, you'll see the problem. So, 99 acceleration, 96 sprint speed, 99 agility, 99's layered across the physicals. Then we move into skill attributes, 99 dribbling, 99 ball control. Of course, we can train his finishing and stuff up, but 2-star weak foot, 1-star skill moves. Stands at 6 foot tall. So we lack any skill ability and we lack the weak foot ability. But overall, with the pace, if we get his finishing up to a good standard, his ball control, his dribbling, I think that would make up for the fact of only having that 2-star weak foot or 1-star skill moves. You know what I'm saying? So we'll try him out anyways next episode, see what he's about. But we did make that deal happen, and he started on the bench for us here as we ended up going on to a 2-1 win against Man City. And that is how we will end the episode off today, though, guys. So, A lot of money spent, a load of stuff done in the episode. As I said, if you've got any suggestions, leave them down below and I'll check them out. I'm really excited for Fratchak's debut. Maybe he'll make a phenomenal one in the next episode. But for now, I will see you all for that in the coming days, guys. Catch you all later. Adios.